My favorite moment in the kitchen on a good night is when I hear a certain decibel in the dining room. It's just like a warm, very jovial hum. All the guests, I can feel them are happy. The service is on point. The cooks are all smiling on their stations. The food's flowing, everything's going right. It's just that noise that I just know when we're on, and I know when that dining room is happy, and it just kind of like hits me right in the back of my head. I got started finally finding a job at a bakery for a woman, and she had worked at Zuni Cafe for 10 years. She was the sous chef there. I didn't know about Zuni Cafe or much about San Francisco or Alice Waters or that whole movement at that time. We had a little deal. If we would get everything done that we needed to get done for the day, she would teach me how to cook something from scratch each day. And so, sometimes it was biscuits and gravy, and sometimes it was a hollandaise sauce or a lemon curd. Those were kinds of things that just blew my mind at that age. The science of what you could do with an egg yolk, and I had no idea. I carry so much knowledge from that time, that brief time, and this was before cooking school and before all the great restaurants. So it's funny how the early things really resonate in.
Adam was doing pop-up plant-based supper clubs, and I was just starting this farm. So the timing of those coincided, and I went to his first pop-up plant-based supper club, Topsoil Supper Club, and it was in a coffee shop. There was no kitchen, and it was a 5-course meal. It was impressive. Then I went to 2 more, and slowly I got to know Adam through going to these supper clubs, and it just blew me away how he could pull off these 5-course dinners that were impeccably plated in someone's home or, somewhere where there wasn't even a kitchen. So we started talking. I was a part of the business community in Travelers Rest. I was also a real estate agent, investor, and I hope to be a developer. So hospitality was just part of that, and I just thought, why not try a restaurant? But as I said, I met Adam. He started helping me on the farm, and we became friends. It was just like right place, right time, right idea. Everything came together at once, and it was around Christmas 2018, and I said, hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about you making your supper club an actual restaurant in this building. And we agreed and just went for it.
We chose this location because of the proximity to the local farmers around us. And, really within, 10 minutes of driving, we have 30 or 40 farms, and we work directly with them each week. That is super exciting. That's very unique. I don't think very many parts of the country have that available. So we view it truly as a luxury.
We opened Topsoil in September of 2019, and it was really going well. We were open 7 days a week. We were actually just a daytime restaurant serving lunch and dinner. We had a market, everything. The community was really excited. And then we added dinner, I think in October, and the restaurant really started to hum.
There was a morning I woke up and my phone had a couple of messages on it. Congratulations, oh my God. And they were non-specific. I didn't know what they were talking about. I got a call from a good friend and reporter a food writer for our local paper. She goes, oh my God, you got nominated for the James Beard Award. And we had only been open for 6 months here. And I was like, what are you talking about? There's no way. We were in the middle of a restaurant opening still. It felt like a mess. It felt chaotic. We're desperate for staff, all the normal things that happen when you open a restaurant. And I just said, oh my God, we're not ready for this. We were getting phone calls left and right. We knew we were about to get this huge influx of business as a new restaurant. We desperately needed it. We were super excited. And then we closed.
March of 2020 happens, and we had to close our doors and shut down, and just all that momentum was lost.
Chefs everywhere were looking at each other. What are they going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? How long is this going to last? How serious is this? You know, chefs kind of just work. We would just work all the time, and we don't know how to stop, and we don't know what to do with ourselves. And it's a scary feeling for us when we have to send the staff away, when we have all this food that's perishing all around us. And you know, the first thing we did was sell the whole walk-in or give it away. We had all these farmers we were in relationships with, and they all were still growing vegetables, and they still needed to sell them, and we didn't have a restaurant that was open to the public. So, you know, like most people, we did pivot, and we did work up a program of takeaway meals. So we did a week's worth of meals. We called it Planted, as in plant yourself at home. And it worked great. We had enough of a core audience to keep us going and pay the rent. Basically, it was about what we did.
The pandemic really changed the way that we looked at how we source our food and the community around our restaurant.
When it was time to jump back in and reopen, we decided we weren't going to do it the same way we left it. We wanted this to be a different restaurant. We had opened this restaurant with our minds on quality of life and on a livable schedule.
Our mission at Topsoil is to connect diners and farmers as closely as we can, and to source our food as close to the restaurant as possible. When you know your farmers and you see them in your restaurant every week and they're dining side by side with your guests, that's a really cool feeling.
I hope what resonates for people is the absolute freshness. We just have farmers that bring us those vegetables 2 or 3 times a week sometimes. They make extra trips just to make sure it's the best that it can be. And they have no problem doing that, and that's really exciting. But those are the things that people kind of carry away, are like the really simple things, like that carrot, that onion, that piece of broccoli, whatever it might be.
We are an authentic effort here. I mean, everything we're doing is with our hands, with our minds. We're bringing our vision to the community, and we'll always bring our best. We'll always serve the food that's produced locally. That will never change at Topsoil.